Welcome to the place where we learn about and learn from the leaders in our field who are powering human creativity. I am Aaron Dworkin, and this is Arts Engines. Thanks again for joining me here on Arts Engines. Today's guest is Guillermo Figueroa, who serves at Lynn University's Conservatory of Music as music director and conductor of the Lynn Philharmonia and is violin artist faculty. Guillermo, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Great to see you.
Well, and of course, I should add that I am deeply honored to be able to have you on the show. I've been able to actually see and collaborate with your extraordinary artistry firsthand when you're able to be with Sphinx. And it really is just an extraordinary experience, an extraordinary career that you've had. So I'm looking forward to talking about all of that. But also in terms of your role at Lynn, Lynn, which is a university, one of who helped us co-curate this show. And I thought I'd first just start out for those in our audience who kind of aren't familiar with the, environment at Lynn University and specifically at the Conservatory of Music. Could you kind of just share a little of the work that that you're doing there and the environment for students?
Yes, of course. I've been here for about 10 years. It's a very small school, total about 2,000 students. The conservatory, it's only about 100, a little over 100 students, a large orchestra, 80 plus, plus pianists and composers. So it's a very friendly, warm, very nurturing atmosphere. Everybody knows each other. All the teachers feel like they are the teachers of everybody, not just their particular instrument. So it's really wonderful. There's no competition. My violin students go take lessons with the other professors as well. By the way, I should say it's quite a stellar faculty. We have Elmar Oliveira and Carol Colas, the other violin professors, Tim Cobb, the principal of the New York Philharmonic, Jeffrey Kainer, the principal flute of the Philadelphia Orchestra, and so forth and so on. So it's great to work with those kinds of colleagues. And it's also a very diverse school. We have students from all over the world, several from, we've had a big influx of students from Uzbekistan, believe it or not, and from Iran. And from many of the Latin countries. There's several Venezuelans, Costa Ricans, and it makes it for a really, really interesting environment to be in. My favorite thing is to sit in the cafeteria and sit with them and just talk about everything and anything, even other than music, and just to see where the students are in their minds. And I feel like it keeps me young and very engaged.
That's awesome. And I love how you shared that, just about the kind of tapestry that creates, that envelops the student body, being able to be immersed in that diversity of thought, of cultures, of opinions. And then, of course, how ultimately that influences the music making. It's truly fantastic. And of course, a wonderful institution. I was going to ask you too, you've had these, extraordinary experiences out in the field and performing and conducting, but then also, of course, as an educator. And I know many people in our field, especially there are those who are kind of coming up, who are emerging, who are trying to kind of figure that out, who are trying to figure out the balance of their own performing, or do they want to really focus on educating? And many people, I think, in the field who feel like they don't have a good balance and they're maybe torn between two worlds. Just wondering for you, you seem to have done this very, very successfully. And so just wondering, is there a way you view that? Is there a way you kind of structured your life to look at and to achieve that balance?
Yes, it is very difficult. I came to teaching very late, actually. I've been here at Lynn for over 10 years now. And it was actually my very first job as a teacher, the first time that I ever taught. And I was very nervous because I didn't know what that was like. But you rely very quickly on your own experience. And I realized that all that teaching really is transmitting your own life experiences to the other students. And it comes very quickly. It is very difficult. I'm also the conductor of the Santa Fe Symphony, and I actually live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So the balance is getting on the plane, constantly going back and forth from the two places. But I absolutely love it. It just keeps me sane. Being with students, it's a way to renew yourself. I feel like I learn just as much from them as I hope that they're learning from me. But there is nothing like teaching. I remember vividly the first time that I conducted here at Lynn the Eroica Symphony of Beethoven. I mean, one of the great masterpieces of all time, right? So we're about to start the first rehearsal, and I just casually asked the orchestra, by the way, how many of you have played this piece before? I think about 3 people raised their hand. And I just, all of a sudden, I had this realization of my responsibility. I am here showing them one of the greatest things that has ever been made in the history of humanity. And I was absolutely in awe with the situation and how you guide them through something like that. You realize that you're making an impact that is going to be for all their lives, and how you deal with those situations. So you learn very quickly, but it is an awesome responsibility, and one that I would not trade for anything.
That's absolutely incredible. I love how you just so beautifully captured that magic of engaging with students. And it really is inspiring. And it's funny because I think sometimes we tell students this and they don't believe how much we really do learn from them.
Right.
And experience and gain. It's definitely not just a one-way relationship. And so that's so beautiful to hear, and I'm sure resonates with so many in our audience who also are teachers. So also I wanted to share, you're involved with the Figueroa project. Could you share just a little of what that is for our audience?
The Figueroa project unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. It was an organization that I developed for about 3 years when I was in Albuquerque, in between jobs, and but I was able to create very unusual concerts involving media, involving dancers, involving people telling stories, and it's something that since I had complete artistic freedom there, I could do anything that I wanted. And once I wasn't involved with the project anymore, I realized that it's something that I want to bring to all my other activities now that are structured. Here at Lynn, I have done lots of concerts with video projections, with singers, with text, thematic concerts involving literature and all sorts of things, because everything is interconnected. And the more you can make people feel those connections of all the different arts, the more each particular art is appreciated by itself. So that's something that I really very much believe in, the connection of the arts and presenting it that way. I talk a lot before the concerts. I try to not give a scholarly lecture, but my reaction. I find that people enjoy my own reactions to the music and what it has made me feel, as opposed to just saying Beethoven wrote this in 19th blah, 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 and then he was like, this is the structure. That's okay, but people really want personal engagement with the music and with the artist. And that's something that whenever I do that, people always come back to me and say, oh, I appreciated the music so much more because you said blah, blah, blah. Said all this stuff. So
absolutely. No,
you know about that so well. You're a great speaker, and you're always doing this kind of a thing. So
oh yeah, no, well, you're way too kind, but I think that's so important what you mentioned there about that. It definitely seems that audiences really appreciate that now and have a deeper engagement with the music when they get some of that framing, when they get some of that perspective of the artists before they engage with it. So, which is absolutely awesome. So I wanted to kind of also just go to kind of your leadership overall. And so with the breadth of what you do and educating and travel and performances and all of that, there's got to be tough days and some days where it seems like challenges might be insurmountable. And just wondering, as a leader, where do you turn for inspiration, for guidance during those kind of toughest or challenging times?
Oof. Well, I am privileged that I come from a musical family, and there were at one point there were 8 performing musicians, including my parents, my father, his uncles and stuff. Right now, it's only my generation with my sister, who's a pianist, and I have 2 cousins who play at the Metropolitan Opera, who are terrific musicians, and they keep me grounded. Anytime that there are things that I need to work on and resolve or have doubts, my family, because they also share the whole music experience as well, they can understand not just from a family point of view, but from a musical point of view, what one is going through. I'm also blessed that my wife is a terrific violinist as well. So we sit at the kitchen table, and I can say these things to her, and she knows exactly where I'm coming from. So family is the one thing that always keeps me absolutely grounded, and because they don't let me get away with anything, and they call me out in everything. But that's the one thing that is really, really important to me.
And just on that note, before we close, unfortunately, we're just about out of time, but thinking about that extraordinary setting within your family and how that was able to benefit you. As you think about families that are out there and where parents may not have been musicians, or be involved in music, and they're really trying to build that in their children, or give those opportunities, is there anything you would recommend that parents do, that families do, to help recreate some of those extraordinary benefits that you've had just naturally because your family is so extraordinarily musical?
I've had a lot of experience here with many students that they always ask me about my family growing up, and many of them have no family background. What I really think it's important is that the parents encourage the music, but let the kid choose on their own. Let the kid express their own ideas. For instance, it's very common to say, okay, I want my kid to play music, I'll give them piano lessons. Well, they may not like the piano. They may want to play the saxophone and play jazz instead of Beethoven, or vice versa. They want to be a drummer, or I really like music, but I would really love to dance. If the parents are really open completely to picking up the signals from their children, what is it that they really love? Because the only thing that will make a great artist is that they love dearly what they are doing, not because they've been made to do something. If they love it, they will become terrific at whichever of these disciplines they choose. So just listen to the kid, trust them, go the way they want to go, even if it's not what you think it should be. That's the only thing I've learned that from my children. We try to give them music. I have 3 girls. Of course, they all decided to not do that, and they are wildly successful, thank goodness, in their lives now. And we listen to them, and okay, fine, you go that way, and you'll be very happy.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the way of our boys as well. So Guillermo Figueroa, you truly are one of the arts engines who is powering human creativity in our world. Thank you so much for being on the show.
No, thank you.